Hi. Okay, let's see who we're doing next. We're doing a new thing called the Hidden, and it's a new spread that I like totally just made up because I wanted to do something different. So let's see who we're doing next. We already did Aquarius. We've already done Taurus. Scorpio. Nice. So Scorpio, it's your turn. We're going to start with some magnetic poetry, and then we're going to use the Joie de Vivre Tarot for you. So check the description box for everything you need to know, including where you can go to check your rising moon, what your rising moon and Venus sign are. Because, some people don't actually know what those are. But for magnetic poetry, what messages are hidden from Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus's awareness during May? This is for May. All right. Okay. I'm going to put these in list form so that you don't have to worry about me or feeling like I'm encouraging you to read things in a certain, sentence structure or what have you. So, okay. Okay, there you have it. I'll just do this for like 10 minutes. You can grab a pen and a piece of paper and jot these down. You can even pause it, and you should be able to still see these and write everything down that you need. I'm going to just have a sip of coffee and wait for you to do that. Okay, all right. So using the Joie de Vivre Tarot, this spread is, like I said, it's what's hidden from your awareness. It's stuff that you don't know. But what we're going to do to start is we're going to kind of look at the heart of the matter. We're going to look at what's hidden from your awareness about yourself in the present moment with just one card. I only take flippers and jumpers. So I'm only going to be looking at things that happen to pop out of the deck on their own, a maximum of 3 at a time, no more than 4 per position, because what we're going to do is we're going to do a box around the center card, which is you. So that's what we're going to do. And again, we're using the Joie de Vivre Tarot, and it feels so nice to be able to actually shuffle cards instead of doing it the way when the cardstock is super sturdy and thick and brand new and you can't. Or, I don't know if anybody else gets these like gold foil decks and stuff like that where they're like super slippery and like the cards are really flexible and bendy, so they just pop all over the place. Never had that happen. But anyway, it's nice to have a deck that's broken in and shuffles nicely. Yeah. One more. Okay, and twist for fairness for you, Scorpio. Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. What is hidden from your awareness about yourself at present during now moving into May? Scorpio. Okay. The moon. There might be a little bit, this is Cancerian card, the moon. It could be that you are kind of feeling as if there's a little bit of confusion. You might be in a confused state. Could also be that you are dealing with music right now, but also the sleeping side of tan, nightmares, moonlighting, kind of doing something in the night. Maybe you could be spending your time up at night, kind of ruminating over something. But this is also kind of holding your feelings, keeping them under wraps while you kind of navigate them to make sense of them. This is, like I had said before, the Cancerian card, but also some people attribute it to Pisces. So the things that are hidden from our daily waking awareness and our conscious mind. So this is something of a card where you're taking the time to yourself in the night to contemplate, highly contemplative energy here. But again, I also, like I had said at the very beginning, something about music in the night, music of the night, even like the Phantom of the Opera thing or whatever. I think that's music of the night, isn't it? But I think that there's a feeling of confusion that it could be pervading your nights. You could also be trying to work something out during the sleep state, so seeking answers on an issue that you may have been previously unaware of, or you may be seeking answers through your dreams or in your nightmares or during the sleep state to kind of sift through the dry lint of the day. What are you trying to resolve from your waking life during your sleep? And I think that's something that might be hidden from your awareness right now. Or maybe there's more meaning in your dreams that you're not necessarily aware of that you need to pay attention to. I got there eventually. What's before you? So what is in your past, your recent past that you've kind of been experiencing that's been hidden from your awareness? Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. What were you not aware of and what's been hidden from your awareness that was before you? Okay. We have two. Okay, so the Ace of Cups and a Page of Wands in the reverse. A lack of passionate communication regarding the beginning of a relationship or the renewal of a cycle within a current relationship. Seems as if there was something that had begun or a renewal within a current relationship and there was a lack of inspired communication regarding it. It could also be where there was a relationship that begun. However, there wasn't necessarily that inspired creative hear ye moment. If you look here, oftentimes when I see the Page of Wands, it's that jubilant announcement that accompanies good news that didn't seem to happen with this. And so there's a little bit of something that's hidden from your awareness regarding that. Just that there wasn't necessarily that big jubilant moment of excitement in regard to the announcement about that news. If we look here, we have the blue bear there carrying, so even an invitation to something. So you could have been expecting an invitation, or somebody could have been expecting an invitation to something that was a herald of good news, or it's almost like but like I said, the announcement. Also, something wasn't announced over social media that was supposedly supposed to be good news because, the Twitter bird, right? And it had to do with the beginning of a relationship. Something wasn't announced. It was more like it just kind of appeared. And so that's kind of, there's something to do with this. Let me find out more. Let's put this here. Let's do them in order. What else? We should only do 3 per... I'm trying to only do 3 per position here. One more. Scorpio. Okay. Well, we can't take these, but we can take this one. So this is a lack of treachery with the 7 of Swords in the reverse. Somebody wasn't trying to hide anything. There wasn't like this feeling of sneaking away from the camp at night with the swords on one's back as if to steal them from the soldiers. So it's not as if somebody was trying to hide anything. There is no duplicitousness here or nefariousness involved. So I think that's kind of the way that it's working, is that somebody didn't announce something that was coming out, or like an inspired communication or creative communication announcing or heralding the beginning of a relationship didn't necessarily happen. It just kind of plink appeared on the radar, but it's as if it wasn't necessarily that it was supposed to be an act of treachery, that it just all of a sudden appeared. Somebody wasn't necessarily trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes. Like I said, in the upright, this is an individual sneaking away from the camp while the soldiers are asleep with their swords. So it's in the reverse. It's somebody who isn't trying to get away with something or pull something over somebody else's eyes per se. It's almost as if they're just trying to kind of like move forward without looking, or like not looking nefarious, but rather without the act of nefariousness, without appearing nefarious, but also it's not necessarily about appearances. It's almost as if they weren't trying to make a big deal out of something, but they also weren't trying to be dishonest or sneaky about it. They weren't trying to make out like it was a big deal. They weren't trying to put people on the spot. Anyway, what's coming down from the divine that you're not aware of during this time? What could also be top of mind that you're not necessarily readily aware of? Let's see here, Scorpio. So what crowns you, right? But from a hidden space, a lack of awareness. So it could be something that's being delivered to you from the divine that you're not necessarily aware of, or it could also be something that's at top of mind for you. However, it somehow doesn't occur to you. Let's see here. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. Okay. We've got 3 face down, and then the 4 of Swords in the reverse. So the 4 of Swords in the reverse is about coming out of, emerging from healing, quiet, contemplative energy, a moment where we've had our opportunity to escape to respite and rejuvenation following the heartbreak of the 3 of Swords. We're emerging from that at a certain point and realizing where the meditation has happened for us, and we're now able to move forward from there. Sometimes this can also be about gaining perspective, especially given that we have this person tangled in the web and they are putting themselves into the upside down space in order to gain perspective. However, at the same time, I just kind of heard at the same time, Danny Harrison's Admiral of Upside Down, the song Admiral of Upside Down, kind of just came to me in this moment. Sometimes, and here's the other thing that I kind of wanted to say, because for some reason this has also come to me. Oftentimes when I see a healing card in the reverse, it's somebody coming out of healing, having completed the healing. Whereas in the upright, we often see the healing cards as cards that are heralding the need to heal. For some reason, it's occurring to me with this one as if it's like when we're talking about reversals of cards like, 9 of Pentacles, where it actually means an 8 of Pentacles. I think this one is reflecting where there's, an Admiral of Upside Down type feeling, where somebody seems to have done the work, seems to have done the healing work, rather, but then it's almost as if they've gone back to a point of remembering the pain or remembering the heartache of the 3 of Swords. And it may just be a taking stock of the 3 of Swords, although the healing has taken place. And not necessarily to pay it homage, but in order to move forward having realized the lesson in it, I think, is what I'm kind of getting at there. I wasn't supposed to get 4, but I got 3 here, and they were all face down, so there's sometimes we take things this way and we don't others. We have the High Priestess in the upright, the 4 of Cups in the reverse, and the Fool in the reverse. Piscean energy with the High Priestess there, and then the Fool is a reversal. The Fool is Aries. However, it is reversed, which could actually put us back into the Piscean energy. There's a secret or an intuitive, there's a knowing here. There's a knowing about, there's a secret or a knowing that happens here that's either hidden from our awareness or that did not occur to us. It is top of mind, and it could be something that's divinely delivered to us that comes through an intuitive hit about a secret, about something that has to do with deep occult knowledge. But I think it's an intuitive hit that it's telling me here with the High Priestess there. It has to do with somebody's willful ignorance regarding the cups that were presented to them that they ignored and didn't dedicate any energy to, paid no mind to, but also the cup from the divine that they chose to ignore. And that there's a readiness now in order to do that. However, the willingness to take the risk and be adventurousness is not there. Or perhaps where no one is ready to take the risk, ready to take the risk, ready to take that cement box from off their head and recognize where the divine is extending the cup from the universe out to them. However, in the past, they weren't willing to take the risk to embrace that. They weren't willing to be adventurous enough to embrace that. But now they are, right? It's the intuitive hit there. I think that there's also something here because we have the Four of Swords in the reverse accompanying that, where one now recognizes that this was the causal factor of a Three of Swords and where they had to heal themselves and move forward knowing better for the next time around. As if to say that yeah, it's like the Beck song. It was nobody's fault but my own. Nobody's fault but my own. Listen to that song. Nobody's fault but my own. This person is choosing, whether through depression or like sadness or grief over abandonments of the past, suffering slings and arrows of the past, but nonetheless choosing to ignore all of the cups around them that are being offered, in addition to the one from the divine. They've locked a cement box on their fucking head. Do you know what I mean? But then it's the realization, the deep realization, as if to be an intuitive hit with that High Priestess there, that is saying to them that it was nobody's fault but my own. I intuitively understand that now, having taken stock, connecting with myself in deep meditation, sleeping it off under the tree after deep heartbreak and quiet repose. I can understand now that I expressed a complete lack of interest in something that was extended to me from the divine. I intuitively understand that now. And where it was through that I expressed no risk-taking or adventurousness to move and traverse the path of the Fool forward. This is the human, the Fool, And through taking no risks and no adventurousness, it ended up being that it was... Yeah, it's like I said, it's almost like somebody is taking stock of things. But it's an intuitive hit that somebody gets, that they now know better. They now know better. I'm having a really hard time articulating it. But it's something that they understand better. And it could be that this individual, whether it's you or another individual, has difficulty articulating it themselves. The regret of protecting one's heart, guarding one's heart so closely. If you look, he's got the hands over his heart, as well as that, cement box over his head. And therefore, there was no risk-taking, no adventurousness in life or love, Intuitively, one knows where it contributed to their heartbreak or the heartbreak over another. Okay, what is beneath you? What is under you? What is bubbling up from the subconscious, or kind of lurking beneath the surface for you or for somebody else at this time that you are not aware of, that is hidden from your sight? We have the Nine of Wands in the reverse. It's kind of like a defensive energy. But coming out of defensiveness, somebody is no longer protecting them. So the heart door, do you see the heart door is open? One is no longer protecting themselves by a berm of wands. They're now open. Goodness. Tell me more. For Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. Could be a Leo, just because we do have the depiction of Leo energy there. What else? Scorpio, lurking beneath the surface for you. Oh, we dropped one by accident. I'm not going to take it. Okay. Two Cups in the reverse with the Ace of Swords. There is a truth here. A truth about not meeting up with somebody. It's so what's lurking beneath the surface subconsciously for you or for somebody else? This Nine of Wands in the reverse with somebody not protecting their heart space any longer, being aware that guarding their heart space so closely through that wounded warrior energy, that they were not open to any new additional, connection. Creative or otherwise, creative partnership or romantic partnership or even professional partnership. In doing so, they were not allowing themselves, the lack of openness was not allowing them, affording them new opportunities, regardless of the nature of those opportunities, right? There's also, though, a deep personal truth about the lack of the meeting of the two that didn't happen, and then the personal truth that results that is the result of the lack of meeting of the two. We see here where two people do not meet. They either don't meet eye to eye, but this is usually a physical meeting of the two that does not occur. It's almost as if because somebody opened themselves up to new possibilities and, refused to accept that they would not keep themselves guarded and would not, embody wounded energies, that they did not end up meeting with somebody else as they normally would. And it resulted in a personal truth of sorts. There's something about seeking the truth, though, here, too. Somebody is looking back. You see here, somebody is looking back at the truth about the meeting of the two not occurring, yet at the same time, they're looking forward, seeking another greater truth. We'll see what that's pointing at. We'll see what this is pointing at when we get to the future here. But what's hidden from your awareness moving forward during May, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Let's see what we have. Okay. So we have the Knight of Wands. First of all, this is a Sagittarian energy. This is passionate action moving forward, fervent, spirited energy moving forward, fiery in its nature. Somebody moving forward passionately. taking inspired action, creatively sparked towards something. Then we have the Justice card about fairness, equilibrium, truth, and balance in all things. Libra energy here. It's almost as if we have that Ace of Swords looking at the Justice card. And normally, I usually say, although I've stopped doing it recently because a lot of people do consider the Ace of Swords to be an Aquarius card, it is Athena's sword. And when we have it, this scope, we have the scope looking directly at Justice. So, somebody is subconsciously seeking fairness, justice, equilibrium, balance, truth. In the future. It's almost like, okay, retribution. Somebody is seeking retribution in the future. And it's not necessarily that they will get retribution that they don't deserve. Everybody will get what they deserve. No one is exempt from the odds of even. So, what'll end up happening is that regardless of anybody who might be like, well, what if they don't get something that they shouldn't have coming to them? Well, retribution is such that you should only be getting what you deserve and nothing more. So any fear that anybody's gonna get their comeuppance and anything less, or shouldn't be getting comeuppance, or you know what I mean. Don't be paranoid about that shit. What else? Finally, for us, Scorpio in the future, moving ahead. What is hidden from Scorpio's awareness? What do they not expect? We have 3 here, and I'll take them. 9 of Cups in the reverse with the King of Swords in the reverse and the 5 of Cups. So there's a feeling of loss and regret, remorse, if you will, when somebody should be exercising gratitude. It is at the hands of somebody who's almost I like to call this my criminal card, the King of Swords in the reverse, simply because the King of Swords in the upright is usually judge, magistrate, parole officer, guard, jailer, a police officer, lawyer, but can also be somebody who is exercising emotionality over intellect. So somebody who's exercising their intuition or operating out of intuition and emotion far more than strategic thinking, logical thinking, and the intellectual space. And then we have the 9 of Cups in the reverse, which is about not exercising self-worth, self-love, moving back into an 8. As somebody who prizes staying in a connection that isn't necessarily to their highest potential or worthy of their higher self, out of stubbornness or familiarity, but doesn't speak to their highest good and does not speak to the worthiness within themselves. So it's almost like strategy and logic even have went out the window as far as that goes. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about staying in a connection, because this 9 of Cups is far less about connections in and of themselves as it is about exercising the observance of your own self-worth, right? Then to cap it off, we have the 5 of Cups here, which is about regret. It's about perseverating on that which has been lost, as opposed to exercising gratitude for that which we have in front of us. So it almost seems as if the Justice here and the equilibrium that somebody is seeking isn't necessarily about whether or not it's like they're getting retribution, but they're not understanding. Okay, so I guess what this person really wants, and maybe this is you if we're looking up here and then down below, maybe it's somebody else, but it's almost like somebody recognizes in the future that what is fair, just, right, and perfect is that somebody else didn't demand more of themselves and didn't end up doing what was logically right and what was good and what made the most sense. But they were operating out of emotion and intuition instead of their strategic and logical headspace. But they also were not paying attention to what they were worthy of. And then as a result, there's that ultimate realization of being regretful. Like, it is regret, you know? Like, you know how people say, well, that person's going to be sorry that they didn't da 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 da. One day they're going to realize. Well, I think that's what we're coming into here, is that somebody does eventually one day realize, right? Hmm. This just occurred to me. Somebody doesn't even really somebody doesn't even notice how much they are looking off in the distance at something else. Yeah, that just like, it's almost like this person is watching to see if this person is going to turn out regretting their decision, and if it's going to, like, they're looking to see if this person's gonna ultimately hit that point of regret. This mischievous the mischievous the mischievous look on this person's face kind of tells its own story. Like, they're kind of sitting over here watching, waiting to see when the moment of realization hits in the future, that somebody was going to be sorry. Bottom of the deck. The sun. We have the sun here. Happiest card in the deck. It's usually the yes card. So if you were asking if you were going to get your wish, the sentiment is yes. However, at the same time, there is also a feeling here, especially careful what you wish for, especially if you were the person who is the individual wielding the Ace of Truth and the scope, looking off in the distance, hoping that somebody gets their comeuppance. Because if that's the case, then what we have here is careful what you wish for. Somebody could be, in a state of impending regret, loss, disappointment, and what's sadder than being somebody who regrets, loses, and is in a place of disappointment? The person who takes joy in that, takes joy in witnessing that, So, like, if there's one thing that's pathetic, yeah, it really sucks being the person who loses out and is like, well, I wish I would have done this instead of this. It's being the person who fucking, like, takes joy and pleasure in other people's misery like this, right? So, I mean, it's always good to have the truth, and it's always good to make sure that you see the truth in the situation, but this is why I love decks that are based off the Rider-Waite, is because they're, like, interpretive, highly interpretive. But regardless, there are happy days coming. This is a Leo card, so it could be linked to the latter half of July through to mid-August. This could be a time of great joy and celebration for you. Also could be a time where you could see your wishes, dreams, and hopes and goals. The more immediate ones, though, coming to fruition. But yeah, a yes card as well. Sunflowers could be extremely important, of course. And yeah, Leo energy on that one. All right, Scorpio. So that's what I've got for you. I hope that this made sense and that you liked this new interesting reading here that I kind of threw together. Hit this button if you did, and we'll see you when we see you next. Bye.